Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and in this segment, we're going to talk all about how Bill Gates has bought up all of the excess farmland in the United States, and he is now the majority rural farmland owner in the United States, and I have a feeling that it's quite ominous, folks. I have a feeling that it isn't because he wants to study crop circles. No, folks, I think it has to do with something much more sinister. Something wicked this way comes, ladies and gentlemen. This is a red flag alert, and you need to know what I'm going to talk about next. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and I'm going to build a connection for you. There's a lot of stuff in the news. Everybody's talking all about the impeachment. They're talking about the 25,000 troops in the Washington Capitol. All the stuff that could happen is happening, maybe is happening. The craziness, the photo op that the left is using to suppress the peasantry. Folks, I'm going to try to get off of that just for a video or two. As you've seen by my last video and some of the other things I've been putting out, I'm a little bit off script, and I want to be. I want to offer you something you're not getting anywhere else. Don't worry, you'll still get some of the other stuff, but I have a different take on Bill Gates. At least I explain my take on Bill Gates, so some people don't. And you're going to see it. We're going to talk about why he's possibly the largest farmland owner in America. And folks, it may as well be Soylent Green because it has everything to do with people, and it is quite terrifying. We don't need Charlton Heston to let us know how terrifying it actually is. We don't. It's people, ladies and gentlemen. Soylent Green is people. Sorry. I had to throw my Charlton Heston in there. It's quite terrible. Most of my impressions are quite terrible, but they're just good enough to catch you off guard and make you spit your coffee out in the morning. Anyway, I want to read this. I want to get through it. I'm going to go through a couple different articles here. I'm going to go through something from the World Economic Forum. And if you're familiar with the World Economic Forum, then you may know the direction that I'm going with this. And whether you know it or you don't, I'm going to provide something that some people don't, and that's going to be the glue in the middle, folks, the explanation, the definition you don't get anywhere else. So this is Market Watch, and they're reposting a New York Post article called Bill Gates is now the largest farmland owner in America. This came out January 16th, just a couple days ago, and it's by Noah Manskar. All right. Bill Gates may no longer be the world's richest man, but he can claim a new title, America's Farmland King. The billionaire Microsoft co-founder has become the largest owner of farmland in the United States by quietly buying up massive plots across the country. I feel like nobody has ever seen any movie whatsoever. Like, you've never seen the movie where the rich bad guy just starts buying a lot of something? You know? Oh my gosh. Rich anonymous bad nefarious character number 2 over here has bought up 740% of the world's plutonium. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. 2 weeks later, they have a drill that's coring its way into the center of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, these people need to get out more and watch some television because, honestly, this is like the script to a terrible B movie. So the billionaire, Bill Gates, the vaccine czar, the captain of liberal-minded leftist insanity, he has bought up all the farmland. Great. Gates' portfolio comprises about 242,000 acres of farmland and nearly 27,000 acres of other land. Other land. I wonder if that's where the re-education camps are going to go. Across 19 states. Sorry, I had to. According to the Land Report, a magazine for land investors that tracks the nation's biggest landowners, the biggest chunks of Gates holdings are in, get ready folks, Louisiana and Arkansas. Here is where he owns 69,071 acres and 47,927 acres respectively, the outlet's research found. So if you're in Louisiana or Arkansas, Bill Gates owns upwards of 70,000 acres of your land, and that's where he will install the processing machines that turn the dead into food. Excuse me. Sorry, I can't. Charlton, get out of my conscience. No more channeling Charlton Heston through my mouth. It's too early for that. The biggest chunks of Gates holdings, guys, Louisiana, Arkansas. Remember that. It's important to know what is happening and what is going on across these states. You may not think it affects you, but as you're seeing by what happened in 2020 and now the strict and swift stealing of our rights in 2021, as you can see, it can come affect you much sooner and much quicker than you ever imagined. He also reportedly owns 16,000 acres in his home state of Washington. This is where I live, by the way. God help me. Including a 14,500 acre tract in Horse Heaven Hills region that was purchased for $171 million. You want to know how in touch with reality Bill Gates is? Bill Gates buys things for $171 million. Put two and two together, folks. The land is owned both directly and indirectly by Cascade Investment, the Seattle area firm that Gates, the world's third richest man with a net worth of $132 billion, according to Bloomberg, set up to manage his massive fortune. Yeah, he had to start a company, an entire company, to just manage his pocketbook. Think about that. A hint at Gates's huge farm holdings emerged in 2014 Wall Street Journal profile of Michael Larson, the money manager who serves as Cascade's chief investment officer. The piece noted that the firm owns at least 100,000 acres of farmland in California, Illinois, Iowa, Louisiana, and other states, or an area 7 times bigger than Manhattan. Folks, something wicked this way comes. It's uncertain why Gates has invested in so much farmland. No, it's not very uncertain. Trust me, when I take you through this, you're going to know why Gates has invested in so much farmland, or how his tracts are currently being used. Well, you'll see. Cascade did not immediately respond to a phone message Friday, and the company declined to comment to the Land Report, other than to say that Cascade is very supportive of sustainable farming. That's the thing. That's the key word. That is the clue. When you're tracking these people down and you're trying to look up what nefarious dealings they have, you have to find key phrases, key things, repetitive themes that come up again and again and again. And sustainability is like the number one theme. And sustainability is hiding something very evil within it, folks. Very evil. It's kind of like Black Lives Matter. It's so ingenious. A group that doesn't care about Black lives. I promise you, Black Lives Matter does not care about Black lives. A group that doesn't care about them. But the name of the group implies they do, so much so that they could literally go eat babies. All right? I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying they could. Black Lives Matter people could go eat babies. And if you said, hey, you guys shouldn't be eating babies, they could go, you're a racist. You're a racist. How dare you? How dare you question this baby here covered in pineapple barbecue sauce? No, you can't do that. That's how genius BLM's name is. And that's the same thing with sustainability. That's the same thing with equality of equity. They change the definitions for us because those are the normal definitions for them. ladies and gentlemen. Different ideologies have different languages, and we are both speaking a different language. All right. Agriculture is also a key focus for Bill and Melinda Gates. The massive charity that they run, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, all right, it's aimed to support country-led inclusive agricultural transformation across sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, according to its website. So they've been testing sustainability all over the place. And we're going to talk about that. Trust me. While Gates is America's biggest farmland owner, he's far from being the nation's largest landowner. The crown belongs to Liberty Media chairman John Malone, who has 2.2 million acres. That's something that could be looked into at some point, but it has nothing to do with this so far. What I'm trying to get at is the nefariousness of Bill and Melinda Gates, their foundation, Cascade, the whole thing. Why would he give a crap about farmland? Oh, yeah, I forgot. They're trying to save the world, right? They think that they can figure out how to save everybody from starving to death. That's really what a lot of this comes down to. They think that because of global warming and all these different things, and because of inequality and growing wealth for some people and disparity for others, they think they've come to the solution. They think they've found the antidote. They think they know how to cure the problems of the world. And you know, it's kind of funny. Whenever somebody thinks they've figured that out, a lot of people end up dying, don't they? You know, Hitler thought that about his people. All these different folks, Lenin, the Bolsheviks, you'd think that they did what they did because they didn't think that it was the right thing. Mao Zedong, same stuff. Same stuff, folks. These are the new Mao Zedongs of the world. Bill Gates is a socialist. You've got to understand. I wrote this down. It's something to understand. You're going to see this word come up, and the word equity is what I'm talking about. It comes up a lot. And it shouldn't, what's equity have to do with farmland, right? You'll find out. But I wanted to put something out there that I've been working on. And it's kind of been, on the tip of the noggin. But I keep talking about how there's two different ideologies. And because of these two different ideologies, there's two different sets of definitions for words. This is word warfare, ladies and gentlemen. We aren't communicating properly because we're speaking two different languages. Folks, we don't understand why the left's calling us racist, because we're not defining racism by the same way that they do. So, for example, racism to the left is anybody that disagrees with equity. All right. So what's equity to the left? Equity means to them, equality of equity. It means that people start at different places, right? So my mom was a single mom. She worked multiple jobs. My dad left when I was 6 months old. All right. My dad's not a great dude. Sold drugs, did drugs. Everything had to do with drugs. Just a lot of, and I'm going to say this because I'm white. I could say this, white trashness. All right. And you know the difference. There's different classes of people, different qualities of people, right? There's good and bad and all. All right. So you know what I'm talking about. Right. So the Southern ladies and gentlemen that might be listening to this know that I'm not talking about the good Southern ladies and gentlemen of this country when I say white trash. So don't mix me up with one of those people. This has nothing to do with that. What I'm getting at is that people start at different places. I started at a certain place. I clawed, scratched. I've done everything you can imagine. My hands are calloused to all holy hell to get where I'm at, because I didn't start at the same place as somebody with a silver spoon. And that doesn't matter, remember, because that doesn't fit into the leftist profile. What they're talking about is equity, is their chosen starting point. I want you to think about balancing a checkbook. They want to balance the world's physical checkbook. I guess an even better way, maybe you've watched some of those Marvel movies before we knew that the owner Disney was a horrible, evil entity. But regardless, I'm sure you've seen the Avengers movies and the Endgame with Thanos, and he is going around the universe. This is a big purple space alien guy, and it's a movie, folks, so I'm not going crazy. Just listen. He's traveling around the universe, right? And killing half of the planets, right? Like killing half of the people on certain planets so that there can be balance and peace because the world's running out of resources, the universe and whatever. And he's going after these infinity stones so he can snap his fingers and finish the job quick so that half of everything in the world will die and disappear and the other half will have plentiful peace, balance, and sustainability. Thanos is literally like Joe Biden. All right. Thanos is literally the leftist ideology. That's the issue here. That's the issue. They're trying to balance the world's population. And we're going to get into that a little bit when we get through some more of this explanation. But if you don't agree with equity, and equity is now the new fancy term for socialism. If you don't agree with equity, right? If you don't agree with their socialism that they're not going to call socialism, you are a racist by the left's definition. That's what you have to understand. We can't fight their ideology with our ideology. We can't do anything to influence if we don't understand their language. So this is your Rosetta Stone, ladies and gentlemen. If you disagree with equity, it means you disagree with socialism. They're not going to call it that. But equity to them is the definition of racism, all right? The lack of agreeing with equity, if I would correct myself there. The lack of agreeing with equity. If you think that you shouldn't regulate people's starting points and finishing points, you are a racist. So the definitions have changed, and that is a big part of it, folks. So understand that going into this next article, because we're going to talk about something they mentioned here. Remember what I said, the biggest thing for Bill Gates is sustainability. All right. The balancing, the Thanosing of the world, right? Sustainability. That's what we're talking about. Sustainable agriculture is a big thing on his list. So why would he buy up all the farmland? Well, maybe we need to learn a little bit about sustainable agriculture. And look, this is the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program. This is UC Davis, ladies and gentlemen. UC Davis. All right. You know about UC Davis. This is a legitimate college. This is a legitimate site. This is what the scientists at these places are coming out with. So you need to hear this. You're going to see a lot of terms, a lot of things hidden here. Look, what is sustainable agriculture? I want you to see how they try to trick you here. They show this beautiful little plants here. This looks nice. This looks nice, right? These are our berries or whatever. They're like raspberries, right? You see them right here? This is a pretty thing. So already we're like, oh yeah, farming. It's nice. Yeah. What's sustainable agriculture? The goal of sustainable agriculture, right? And this is the bold, the big print up top. This is where they hope you're going to stop. All right. The goal of sustainable agriculture is to meet society's food and textile needs in the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Do you see where what I'm saying here? When I said like the balancing of the checkbook, the balancing of the universe, the Thanosing, the snapping your fingers and killing off half the world. I'm not saying he's going to go try and kill half the world. I'm just trying to make an analogy, a comparison that some of the younger folks and some of the other folks out there will understand next to the other ones I make so that everybody will understand, folks. You have to see where this is going. Bill Gates, Joe Biden, all these different people, they're all proponents of something much more sinister. All right. And they believe in equity. And equity means, all right, that they're going to take and give, redistribute. Socialism, ladies and gentlemen, make things equal across the board. And then the government, the chosen hierarchy, the lords and ladies, the new elite, they will decide how to budget the world's resources so that everybody gets their fair share and the human race continues. That's how they see the future. That is their progress. That is their belief. That's why they need to strip our rights away and kill the Constitution. That's why they need to take away our individual liberty. That's why they need to shift our children's views to looking at the collective, because it's a much easier pill to swallow for a society that believes in the collective over themselves when they say, hey, we're going to take all your crap away and you're going to have to live by our rules so the planet doesn't die. But in fact, it's just to prop up their Elysium. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all it is. Are you ready? Let's read a little more. Practitioners of sustainable agriculture seek to integrate three main objectives into their work. Now, remember, this is supposed to be about farming, right? A healthy environment. So now they're just talking about global warming type crap. Economic profitability, making money. And then the third most important thing for agriculture, for farming, all right, for the future of farming. Remember, we have not screwing up the environment, all right. That's at least how they're putting it forward. Economic profitability, hey, making some money. And then the third one, social and economic equity. Social equity, everybody starts at the same spot. You know, the Chinese have a social credit score. And you lose points, and then you lose standing, you lose friends, you lose the ability to do things in communist China because you've lost your social points. They want social and economic equity, meaning you don't get to work hard to get to a certain place. You get what the government gives you, and if you have a problem with it, you disappear into the American gulags. 25,000 troops in Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, 25,000 troops. What the hell does social and economic equity have to do with agriculture? It has to do with food distribution, ladies and gentlemen. Who gets what? Who gets to eat what, ladies and gentlemen? Remember, this is much more sinister than it seems to the average person. There are many practices commonly used by people working in sustainable agriculture and sustainable food systems. Growers may use methods to promote soil health, minimize water use, lower pollution levels. Consumers and retailers concerned with sustainability can look for value-based foods that are grown using methods promoting farm worker well-being. It's all socialism, folks. They're environmentally healthy or strengthen the local economy, and researchers in sustainable agriculture often cross disciplinary lines in their work, combining biology, are you ready? Economics, engineering, chemistry, and community development. They just throw that right in there. Again, brainwashing. However, sustainable agriculture is more than a collection of practices. It's also a process of negotiation, a push and pull between the sometimes competing interests of the individual farmer or the people of a community. Do you see what that means? It's a way of thinking so that farmers stop thinking about themselves and think about the collective. Forget your personal property, forget competition. If you work for a large company and you ever see bureaucracy working, you ever see unions in action where people aren't willing in a lot of ways, not all unions, but people have no innovation, no motivation. They just pull the same lever every day because their union, their government, their boss, their omega, their alpha took away any glimmer that was left behind their eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, they just want peasantry that puts up, does the work, shuts up, and lives their lives and leaves their elite asses alone to feast upon the wealth gained off our backs. That's all this is a trick. It's a trick to make sure that the Bill Gates dynasty lasts for 1,000 years. You don't believe me yet? You don't believe me? We went through the largest farm owner now being Bill Gates. We talked about his beliefs. We talked about sustainability. We talked about sustainable agriculture, what racism means, what the definitions mean between the right and the left. We talked about sustainable agriculture, and you still don't believe me. Well, good. Let's go to the World Economic Forum again. And let's talk again about the Great Reset. This is the bigger picture this is all falling into, folks. Social justice, inclusion, and sustainable development need a great reset. And here are 3 key steps that we can take. Folks, this is the World Economic Forum, the proponents of the Great Reset, the thing that Bill Gates agrees with. Do you know what the Great Reset's slogan is? Build back better. And I want you to remember that it was their slogan before Joe Biden ever said it. And now that you have that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, let's start reading. This is from David Sangakoya. He's the head civil society, communities, and social justice initiative dude at the World Economic Forum. I purposely said dude at the end because if he's any type of lefty scum, it'll offend his sensibility. He'll think I'm an a-hole for assuming his gender. Good. I hope he thinks I'm an a-hole. The magnitude and intersectionality, the magnitude and intersectionality of inequality was a key theme throughout the Sustainable Development Impact Summit of 2020. Remember also, the left uses big words, tons and tons of big words that don't make sense, and they use them in a row. They do that all the time. The magnitude and intersectionality of inequality was a key theme throughout the Sustainable Development. People lose interest, and so they'll skim and they miss the important details. That's why I'm reading these things to you, so that you see the key details that you might skim over unintentionally. Widespread environmental crisis and global Black Lives Matter protests have sparked palpable restlessness for change. Bold steps must be taken to bring Black, Indigenous, and minority communities in from the margins. You see, we're not arguing against any minority doing anything. We want people to compete and to succeed based upon their merits. But what they're saying is that everybody should have a fair starting point, which is fine. I get that. All right, fine. We can start there and debate from there. But here's the thing. It's not all inclusive. It has nothing to do with everybody. It's who they decide are the minorities. It's who they decide need the help. It's who they decide will vote for them throughout the world. It's who they decide will be the easiest to conquer. So when they say that they want to help Black, Indigenous, and minority communities, I'm speaking directly now to Black, Indigenous, and minority communities. Coming off of the wake of Martin Luther King Jr., his birthday, I'm going to say this. I'm going to look you seriously in the eye as an American, as your brother, and I'm going to say to you, Black, Indigenous, and minority communities, don't you realize that they aren't trying to help you? They're trying to rule you. Folks, wake up. You're so much stronger and smarter than this. The COVID-19 pandemic has made it crystal clear the extent to which social exclusion, systemic racism, and discrimination are working against our collective health and the health of our societies. Socialism, ladies and gentlemen. Last month, more than 3,800 leaders from government, business, and civil society came together for the 4th World Economic Forum's Sustainable Development Impact Summit. This is the type of stuff that Bill Gates goes to and, he eats his caviar on crackers and rubs elbows with the George Soroses of the world. Folks, this article right here is just October 8th, 2020. This is all real. It's real. All right. I'm not going to drag this on too much further. We could read and read and read and read about this, but this isn't an episode about the Great Reset. Trust me, we can do plenty on them. And if you want more episodes about the Great Reset, let me know in the comment section below and we'll arrange it. But this is about Bill Gates buying up all the farmland All right. These are red flags, ladies and gentlemen. These are clues. You have to speak up. You have to bring these things up. You have to start getting active in local politics, legislatures, and in your community. They're sneaking in like a thief in the night to take our country away. Not our on the right, our as in the entire country. From everybody. Unfortunately, they've brainwashed a whole crap ton of people, and then the other ones have their head in the sand. I'm representing them too. They just don't realize it. So when they look at us and they try to say that they're racists or they're only talking about the right, no, the left is a gaslighting group of bigoted individuals, folks, and brainwashed Manchurian candidates. They tell us that we're doing what they are actually doing. And you know it. You see it. When they say unity, they mean unity among the left. When we say unity, we say unity among everybody. The problem is that when we're fighting for everybody, we get pushed over, and then the left comes in and steamrolls everything. We can't let that happen anymore. So the right, whether we're fighting for everybody or not, and when I say fighting, I'm not talking about physical, and we have to just keep saying this because the left keeps accusing us of being violent, and we aren't represented by the violent people that stormed the Capitol. Those were people acting on their own volition, a mix between far left and far right radicals. A mix. All right? It wasn't all one or the other. It was a bunch of degenerate instigators, and I don't agree with what they did because I believe that this is a hearts and minds campaign, and we have to get better at influencing the culture and the social arena. And knowing what these people are doing, knowing what Bill Gates is doing is a step in the right direction. Understanding the Great Reset is a step in the right direction. This Great Reset stuff should terrify you. And if it does, don't let that fear paralyze you. Let it motivate you. Write about it. Read about it. Talk about it. Get together with people in your local community. Show people the facts. I'm not telling you to walk the streets like a lunatic. I'm telling you, and I don't mean like protest. That's not what I'm talking. I'm saying I'm not telling you to make a sign and walk up and down the street screaming, yeah, look at what's going on. People just run from you. No, what I'm telling you to do is use modern technology and all of its tools at your disposal and use your First Amendment to fight, because that's all we have left. And if we don't use it, it'll be gone forever before we know it. So folks, thank you so much for watching. Do me a favor, like this channel, like this video, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Do me a favor, hit the notification bell, subscribe. I don't know how long I'll be on YouTube. They have censored me even further. I'm also on Rumble. I'm also on LBRY and a couple other places. We're trying to expand into all these different areas and get through the social media hump. Do me a favor, head to www.americanreveille.com. Sign up for Project Underground Railroad, for the Patriots Only newsletter, for the daily updates while social media is down. That is one of the best ways you can get constant updates on what is happening, not only locally, but around the world. Just a little thing that I send out every morning. And also, it'll have, articles and some of the different videos that we put out from the American Reveille as well, and a message from me that I put out every morning, and also a weekly recap as well that'll show what we put out. But it's one of the few ways we can communicate while the left attacks our lines of communication via social media, and while the right builds up its own institutions and organizations, which is what we're doing right here at the American Reveille. We're making a large-scale media network. Folks, if you can, please take the time to sign up. Like I said, you can contact me on the contact form. Email me directly with any questions, comments, or feedback at jameslane@americanreveille.com. That's REVEILLE.com. And if you could, please also, you can hit the support us tab, and you could contribute if you would like to the American Reveille and help us survive this censorship onslaught. So folks, I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed the segment, and I will see you next time. Bye.